Welcome. In this video, we're going to be talking about vulnerability scanners. So again, the goal is to look at two of the more common vulnerability scanning tools and kind of understand what they do. So first of all, the big two are Nessus and Openvos. Openvos is free. Nessus is expensive. So some pros for Openvos: it's open source, it's free. It does have about 26,000 CVEs. It's very popular. It's an all-in-one type scanner. Some of the negatives, though, is it doesn't cover all of the common CVEs. It is less operating system supportability, and it doesn't really offer policy management. So those are some negatives there. Nessus is over twice the amount of CVEs as Openvos, has great customer support, does facilitate testing, does offer real-time visibility and a great dashboard. Nessus also is server-side compatible with operating systems. It has a built-in scan template. Openvos does not. Negatives is Openvos is free, but Nessus is about $28,000 a year. It's not made for small companies. It does not allow for checking local security policies of remote-based systems. It does overload a network. It can send a lot of traffic. So that is definitely a negative. Also, it doesn't really offer asset tagging and risk management the way that you'd expect. So in this video, literally, when we talk vulnerability scanners, we're going to look at both of these scanners and we would deploy them in a network and we would configure them. Neither of them are set up in Kali. Neither of them are relatively easy to set up. So the point of this video is just to cover what a vulnerability scanner is, how they function, and which one should you pick. So normally Openvos is done through Linux, and it is not the easiest to set up. I've set this up and it's taken me about an hour. The community group for Openvos is poor. However, once you have it set up and configured, it's nice. It's easy to work once it's already operating. But it doesn't always find common vulnerabilities. So we look at vulnerabilities as CVEs, common vulnerabilities and exposures. Every time a vulnerability comes out, this is what is going to be tagged. If there's a new bug in server 2016, it will get a CVE number. And we can be scanning for those common vulnerabilities. Nessus scans for way more CVEs than Openvos. Nessus is pretty easy to deploy, and if you have issues with it, you get customer service. Nessus can be deployed on just about anything, but again, it really is expensive. So the trade-off is you have a free open source scanner, but it takes time to develop, the skills to deploy it and tweak it to the way you need it to, and it doesn't scan all the CVEs. Or you have a pro-based scanner that does scan a lot, but it's expensive. But ease of time for deployment. So it really is just kind of, do you have the budget, and are you thinking long-term about this? Because while Nessus is expensive, when you factor in man hours getting it configured, it actually is not the most expensive. Openvos, man hours to get it configured, actually it typically ends up being more expensive. So pros and cons for both. Vulnerability scanner will look at these CVEs and scan the entire scope that you present it with. And the nice thing here is, if you scan the entire network, either of these scanners will find vulnerabilities. They give you a report, they tell you where the holes are, and they give you time to go fix them. That way, you can do another scan, and you can verify those holes have been patched. That's the purpose of these vulnerability scanners. I also use some online scanners for different compliance checking, and again, the entire purpose of these scanners are look for CVEs, make sure those CVEs are patched and no longer vulnerable, and if they are, alert you. That way you can know exactly what systems, what devices are there. And that way, you know, go patch those areas, go patch those holes. And then you can rerun the vulnerability scan to ensure those patches are now fixed. So again, this is just more of an overview of what these tools are and kind of how they function. If you have any questions, reach out. Thank you.